Eyes down for the morning, folks. Monday, and a beautiful morning it is too. After lots of overnight rain, a slightly different view from the workshop we had, and here I am up at the house again. I arrived to reports of, well, not to reports, because of reports of blocked drains, which are completely empty and spotless and working perfectly, and also a leak under the sink, which isn't there. So I shall wait till Lucy arrives and then ask her what's on. In the meantime, picking up the rubbish. But I've got the electrical guy coming today. I've got an electrical engineer coming today to do the EICR, the test that you have to have done on your electrical system if you're renting a property out. So he's coming from York. I can't do it because I'm not a member of one of the scams, or as they're known in the trade, the schemes, i.e. you have to be a member of NAPIT or Nicky or other such crooked parasitic organisations that leech off the back of the working people. And I'm not, and I've no intention of being. In fact, I never have been, although I served my apprenticeship at a Nicky registered electrical engineering contractor. Something I managed to involve my entire electrical engineering life, which only amounted to about 20 years, I suppose. Although I still do electrical stuff, as you well know. Anyway, that's it. The jobs I thought I would have to do, I don't. Time for a coffee. You see this little hole under here? Well, there was a hinged plate over that. And that L-shaped piece of metal, just there, is supposed to open it. And it was only opening it a tiny amount. So, I've taken it off, because all it does is makes the hot gases go completely round the oven, and seeing as she'll never be cooking on it, it's not necessary, and it makes it hard to light, because if that isn't fully open, that's the smoke route. Comes up, straight across and down and up the flue. So if that's not properly open, it's going to smoke. So that's problem number 3 cured. Although, to be fair, problems 1 and 2 didn't seem to exist. But now I've got the door in bits, and I'm just rebuilding the still paddling mud in. I'm just going to, when the electrics guy arrives, I'm just going to drive this down, take this down to the workshop and clean it all up and sort it out, because its stop isn't working. And because the stop isn't working, it just goes round and round and round until it unscrews. What it wants is, there's the stop, it wants a longer roll pin in there, the roll pin's broken. So, not a problem, and I'm sure we can manage to do it. There we go. These things are sent to triers, aren't they? Here's a little bucolic anecdote for you people. A friend of mine, one Michael Minnick, and I, one winter, had gone for a walk in the snow, which was very deep and very fresh, 6 to 8 feet in places. This is in the, this would be in the probably early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. And we'd walked over that hillside, over that little horizon you can see over there, and we're walking down behind these trees towards this dale, chatting away, thinking nothing of it, when Mick suddenly disappeared. And I looked around and he'd just gone. he wasn't there anymore. And then I heard this shout and saw him sliding on his back in the snow, just about to go into that hedgerow there. That one down there. Can you see that hedgerow down there? Can I see it? I can't see it, the sun's on the camera. And he'd fallen. We'd walked right over the top of that hedge because it was covered in snow. We'd walked right over the top of it and onto an overhang, and he'd plunged through the overhang and come out sliding. Right? And he ended up right at the bottom of the hill, covered in snow. So we walked home and had some tea. Right, folks, well, I finished the stove, which I forgot to film, sorry. I just get absorbed in things and never think. And then it crosses my mind I should film this in a minute. I'll film this in a minute and I forget. Right, so here we have a mocked up with mould grips drive system, and it seems to be, I mean, obviously it's not working perfectly because nothing's bolted down yet, but the only problem we have is this alignment on this, which is lots of flex on there. I'm obviously going to have to put gussets on there to stop it flexing, but it's beginning to come together, thank God. I'm confident that that's going to work. That sprocket's a long way out of alignment though. Whoa! Look at that. That's a long way out of alignment. Right, I'll see if I can align it a bit better and I'll bring you back and have another look at it. Outside, the deluge. It's absolutely hammering down there. It was a minute ago. It came over all dark and boom, and that was it. Rain all this week apparently. What a dismal wet Langtoft. Well, that's looking good, folks. That's very close to where we had it set before. And I think really that getting the engine any further that way, which it's probably half an inch that way of our marks, is good. But apart from the bent shaft, which you can see is causing problems, that looks good to me. That looks good. Whether I'll make it adjustable or not, I don't know. They say, don't they, if you can't make it accurately, make it adjustable. Well, it's very difficult to make this accurate, so I think that's what I'll do. I'll make it adjustable. Then we've got vertical adjustment on there and horizontal adjustment that way, and then we can just bolt it up and have done with it. It's still hammering down outside, and guess what? I've just had a recall. Please come home. The dishwasher spewed its guts out all over the floor. Off we go. It's another job. Yes, folks, it's another free delivery for Yorkshire Water. I'm going home. And the answer is, folks, I don't know. It appears to have overfilled and leaked out of the door, which dishwashers do if they overfill, but it's not overfilling now, and it's running. So I'm going to leave it, keep an eye on it, and see if it. I mean, this is the cold flush mode. I'm going to see if it stops, drains out, and then refills. And see if it overfills them, but it appears to be perfectly dry now and behaving itself. Typical, isn't it? It goes to a fault and you get there and it's cleared itself. Never mind. Well, it's filled, rinsed, drained, gone into wash, filled again, the tablet's dropped, and now it's washing and it's not leaking. So I'll let it complete its cycle and I'll have a look at the service department's website. They're only in Huddersfield, so there you go. Afternoon, folks. The collet came and it fits. It's a good fit. Got that from RDG. It's a Harlingen 6/10 accuracy, so we'll wait and see what it's like. We'll reserve judgment on it. And then found I could have got it cheaper from Kronos, so we're doing some on special offer, which are probably horribly inaccurate, but for this job it wouldn't have mattered. So there you go. If you want some cheap 5C collets, check out Kronos, because they're doing a cheap deal on them. £4 odd a piece. Not sponsored, just at times a happy customer. Never mind. Right, where have I been? I've been out trying to buy a car, trying to looking at cars, basically. Have I found anything? No. This is the problem. This is the problem. It's not a problem, but it's a requirement. That's the requirement. And this, with this fold down tailgate, is just ideal. Right, and I've got to get something that'll take that. And I was going to drive up to Keith's and see if it'll go in the back of his Volvo V70, which I think it will. And if it will, I'm going to get one. There's plenty available. You can have cheap ones with high mileage, or you can have a bit more expensive ones with fairly low mileage, it has to be said. Well under 100,000, I mean like 70, 80,000 on a diesel Volvo is virtually brand new. So there you go. But that's what I require. Hey up. Big tractor. Getting like bloody Tonka toys, aren't they? Right, I shall move on again. I shall see if I can... Oh, they're right up there now. Can you see the yellow flashing light through the trees? Maybe you can and maybe you can't, I don't know. Up there somewhere, yeah, there, look, they're there. It's the broadband people. They're putting the broadband in at Cottam Lane, but that means I can't go up to Keith's, and if I can't go up to Keith's, I can't try the wheelchair in the back of his Volvo, which is a complete pain. I maybe have to go around the other way and come down Cottam Lane, which means going miles out of the village. Never mind. Morning, folks. Wednesday. And what are we doing today? We're back in the house, and we're changing the consumer in it for a dual RCD one to comply with the renting regulations 2025. Ho hum, there you go. I'm not going to show this. I'll show you when it's finished, because it's a struggle. They're always a struggle, and you wouldn't want to hear me swear, would you? And there she is, folks. The all new board fitted. Earth wire inside this time. And I just fixed the box back over it, which will go back over it. Isn't that wonderful? So I'll crack on with that, and then we'll call it a day. I've also replaced 2 broken plasterboard socket boxes upstairs, which were spotted in the test. And the only thing that's baffling now is a reported fault. He said there's a low impedance on the downstairs ring main, which I suspect strongly, not a low impedance, it's a low impedance between neutral and earth. It's a neutral earth fault, which I suspect may be that socket behind the washing machine. But nothing's tripping. And I've checked the pump wiring, and it's not the pump, and if it's not that, I don't know what it is. It's not the outside lights, because they're on the lighting circuit. So I begin to be a little baffled by that. Anyway, let's crack on. Let's crack on. It's nearly home time. If I can just get this finished and back on, and then tidy up my mess, because I've made a mess all over the floor. Typical. Yes folks, I'm up at the house again, and I found the fault. I found the fault by the simple method of taking the sockets off, disconnecting the wires, and working your way around the ring until you find it. And it was between that socket and that socket. Luckily I've been able to pull a wire behind, because this is double skinned, so I pulled the wire behind the plasterboard and just screwed a trunk in onto there and put the bridge wire back in. And that has cleared the fault. What was the fault? I strongly suspect that whoever put in the satellite cable was completely ignoring the safety zone which it's within, and I would think he's drilled the cable. Anyway, we now have another bridge cable in, and we have no fault. So good show. So I'm going around testing. I'm going around testing with my little test plug. My little test plug that you plug in. Like that. And I noticed that on this socket, when you twisted it, the earth light went out. And so I changed the socket, and this is the socket that came off. Now you see that little label in the corner there? Doesn't that tell you Chinese? Look at these earths. Look how bad they are. If you twist those, they'll just come out. Right? Look at this. I thought, oh, I know what's wrong with it. The earth contact's loose. I'll just push it, I'll just squeeze it up a bit and that'll fix it. Well, I'm not going to put this back together. I'm going to throw it away because it's a piece of junk. And it's probably from China, because it has no maker's name on it. As far as I can see, it has no maker's name on it. SMJ UK. Well, I don't know who you are, SMJ UK, but you're buying your stuff from China. You've stamped that in UK. And that's bloody rubbish. I wouldn't eat. Look, that's supposed to be the pin connections. What a piece of crap. What a piece of crap. Awful. Right, I've replaced it with a better one. I think that's it. But as you can see, no dodgy earth. No dodgy earth. So, just shows you have to be careful what you buy. You can buy MK, they are expensive and they are good, but there's all sorts of other British makes that are good as well. So there you go. So that's Thursday's video, I'm afraid, because I haven't done any filming all day. I've been rushed off my feet trying to find this fault and trying to fix it. It was a pig. I couldn't get the wire threaded through the plasterboard, and eventually I did, thanks to my little camera. What I use is one of these, which is a draw tape, steel draw tape, the electrician's friend. But it was going all the way, but I couldn't find it. And eventually I found it with the camera, hooked it with a little hook on the end of the camera lens. So don't laugh at those things, because they bloody work. Hooked it and pulled it through. Amazing. Right, what have I got to do now? Bloody tidy up. Let's crack on. Put the top back on. Done a little modification up there. Put a I put a little screw hook on so that they can, that hooks up out the way now. But other than that, I think we're finished. Thank the Lord for that, eh? Laters. And that's it, folks. All back together, all swept up. And all quiet on the western front. Thank goodness for that, eh? Little modification, I put a hook up there to hook that onto. But we're all back together and peaceful again. I can pack away my test gear and I can go home. Thank goodness for that, eh? I'm almost there. Right, off we go.